Good morning, colleagues. Greetings from Colombia. Welcome to the fifth week's wrap-up. The week started with an interesting course on how to influence people. Influencing people is very important in their work since it boosts the opportunities for collaboration. In these regards, we found out that there are three types of techniques that we can use and mix depending on our specific context. The need to influence people in our day-to-day work is more evident nowadays, with most humanitarian crises happening in the context of violence and conflict. Conflict between warring parties usually end up interfering with humanitarian work, jeopardizing the respect of humanitarian principles and reducing the humanitarian space. In these conflict scenarios, humanitarian actors interact more and more with armed forces, both from the host nation and from friendly contributors. As we have seen during the previous weeks of the course, this interaction goes from basic communication to full-extent collaboration. Also, these contexts imply the presence of non-state armed groups. Therefore, humanitarian actors need to understand how to interact with them. The first activity of the week involved a reflection on the different types of barriers humanitarian workers can find in contexts heavily influenced by politics and violence. First, there can be a will to interfere with the delivery of relief activities. Along with that, there may be bureaucratic restrictions. In most cases, there will be a risk for active fighting, and the fighting can lead to attacks on humanitarians, goods, facilities, and assets. And we need to take into account that all these barriers occur in areas with physical impediments. As CM coordination officers, we need to understand how to navigate these restrictions. And this understanding is even more important when we face non-state armed groups. We then reached the second webinar of the week on engagement with non-state armed actors. In this webinar, we studied the cases of Somalia, Colombia, Afghanistan, and Syria. All these are scenarios with complicated political contexts at the international, national, and local levels. In all four countries, armed groups with different affiliation, political ambitions, and criminal intent create havoc in societies that already have huge humanitarian needs. CM coordination officers should prepare to engage with these groups even in situations where governments advocate against, because the reality in the field is that sooner or later humanitarian actors will encounter them. During the actor mapping, CM coordination officers should retrieve the best available information on the group's agenda. Understanding the group prior to any non-desired interaction will help whoever is in this situation to leave the scenario sound and safe. Also, the CM coordination officer should evaluate risks associated with the engagement with non-state armed actors and prepare mitigation strategies to keep safe all humanitarian personnel, avoid any repercussions on the people we want to assist, create new restraints to the delivery of humanitarian aid, prevent any negative impact on the groups or individuals, avoid legitimizing the group, undermine any higher-level interaction, or breach any framework or legislation. I hope you find useful this week's wrap-up, and I welcome you to the sixth and last week of the course. I hope you all have enjoyed it as much as I have. Have a good day.